Okay, it is 7:01. I'll call this meeting of Smithville Village Council to order. Roll call.
Allen,
Here.
Haas,
Here.
yes. Heicher,
Here.
Mullins,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Thorne.
Here.
Okay.
All right, you should have received in the mail minutes from our prior meetings. We actually have two sets, and I will ask for approval one at a time, simply because I don't think that everyone will see each of those. So the first set of minutes will be our regular meeting, October 6, 2020. If you've had the opportunity to review those minutes, I would entertain a motion and a second.
A motion to approve the October 6th meeting minutes. Pause.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second from Matt and Tricia. Is there any questions or discussion on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne.
Yes.
All right, then the next minutes are from the minutes of the special meeting on October 12th, 2020. And again, if you have the opportunity to review those, I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve those minutes as well.
Motion to approve the minutes for October 12th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tricia and a second by Larry to approve the minutes from October 12th. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Okay, the first item of business is actually from the police department. As you're aware, the last meeting, the chief joined us and he did indicate that Officer Christian would be leaving us. Christian works. And again, too, his last day of employment was actually October the 11th. He has submitted that resignation for our approval. So you should have received that copy of that resignation letter. And I would entertain a motion to approve the resignation in a second.
Motion to approve the resignation of Christian Wirtz. Effective October 11th. Is that retroactive to that?
Yeah,
Second. Larry.
okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the resignation of Christian Works. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is as far as correspondence. You'll see the note relative to the large trash pickup day, Monday, October 26th. Also leaf pickup dates starting also next week. And again, that will repeat every 2 weeks through November 23rd. The only other item, and it was basically for Joseph, I did email to you a copy of the Greater Wayne County Foundation statement of investments held for the Veterans Memorial. Again, too, that's for quarterly statement you receive. I did email it to you. Probably want to share it with the other committee members as well. It shows as far as any donations, contributions, and then shows the current market value of the holding. So, okay. Then moving on, is there any other correspondence anyone else may have? If there isn't, then we're going to move right into old business. The one item that we have in old business is that we've been discussing last number of meetings is the ordinance relative to, or ordinances plural, in relationship to the mowing section of our zoning code. As you recall, basically what we're doing is the open lots that are not built upon had always been in a separate section of code. And we're repealing that section totally, which that would have been section 93.4. We're repealing that section because what our intent to do is to basically repeal and then replace the areas within our property maintenance code that will deal with this going forward. And there's two of those ordinances. The one is an ordinance repealing and replacing section 153.013 of the Smithville Code of Ordinances. And then the second one in that property maintenance area as well is ordinance repealing and replacing section 155.013 of the Smithville Code of Ordinances.
So
Again,
Tom,
Yep.
I just need to interject real quick. It should just be the 155.013. The draft
Okay, so
of 153.013, I just had the wrong section number listed. So
Okay.
it should be
right.
155. So we're enacting one
155.
and we're repealing one.
Repealing the other. Okay.
Yes,
Now, my only question, you saw what I sent in the email.
I did. We put the new section on
We-
second read, but we did
Correct.
not put the repealing the other one on second.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I guess you saw what I posed to my question as far as if it's intent of council at this point to pass them tonight, then if that's their intent for both to be passed, we would need to suspend, correct?
Yes. I guess I don't know that they have to be passed at the same time. So why don't we do,
The one on second,
yeah, put the one on the second and then just pass it next meeting?
okay? And that's fine with me. So I guess the question for council is, are we to the point that we're comfortable after obviously discussing these ordinances the last 2 weeks, or last number of weeks, the last number of meetings, that we're comfortable going ahead? The one would be the 155.013 will be on third reading, which will pass it. The other will place on 93.4 will place on second reading, knowing that we'll pass it then at our next meeting as a final passage.
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that Jason, you had indicated that the issues or the questions that John Parker had brought up would come through separate legislation to address those questions that he raised, correct?
That's correct. I just have not prepared that yet.
Okay, that's fine. But again, too, again, just to remind all of council, there were some things that John Parker brought to our attention in relationship to these issues. And I think that we are in agreement that they needed to be clarified and corrected as well. So at this point, what we'll do is I would entertain a motion then and a second on passing ordinance number 2020, and we will assign it a number, which will be number 25. And that's the one that's an ordinance repealing and replacing section 155.013 of the Smithville Code of Ordinances.
Motion to have third reading of 2020-25, or other known as 155.013.
Okay. And a second.
Second. Thorne, second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second from John, the motion, and also second by Scott. Is there any questions or discussion on the ordinance? Hearing none, roll call.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Picture,
Yes.
All right, then what we will do is place, I would entertain a motion for ordinance of repealing section 93.40 of the Smithville Code of Ordinances, and a second for that as well.
Motion for the second reading of 93.4.
Second, Hawes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for passage on second reading, an ordinance repealing section 93.40 of the Smithville Code of Ordinances. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Reed.
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Haas,
Yes.
Eicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
yes,
All right, that's the only item that we had in old business for tonight. Is there any other items from council for old business that should be discussed at this point? If there isn't any, then we'll move on into new business. The first thing on the agenda relative to new business, again, is a resolution that is, again, a resolution by council, the Village of Smithville, Wayne County, Ohio, authorizing the fiscal officer to increase, decrease, and/or increase appropriations and amend the certificate of estimated resources as needed and declaring an emergency. And again, you should have also the attachments that go with that, showing the 2020 appropriations amendments, and then also the adjustments relative to the annual appropriations for 2020. Again, part of what we're doing with this also is that we're going to be, if you notice in looking at the document that is the 2020 appropriations amendment number 2 page, as you will notice, we have created obviously the funds or line items relative to coronavirus relief. We have to establish different line items in which to obviously expend those monies. And at least at this point, the amount that we've received, this is the recommendation from Pam as to the place, the appropriate place that we're allowed to actually appropriate those monies for the expenditure of those. So again, in looking at that, you'll see the numbers that she's given us in each of those categories or each of those areas. Are there any specific questions for Pam concerning what we're presenting? And again, obviously, at the beginning of the year, we were unaware, and so this is why we have the, obviously necessary component in passing legislation then that we present to the county to show that, we've gone through the steps necessary, the expenditure of those monies. So are there any questions at all?
I'll just add one more thing. We did receive an additional round of funding late last week, so you will see another appropriation amendment and another estimated resources amendment in the future.
If there are no questions, then I would entertain a motion to suspend. In a second.
motion to suspend. Larry,
second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend rules. Any discussion or questions on the suspension? Hearing none, roll call.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Haas,
Yes.
Eicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, I now would entertain a motion and a second for resolution 2020-26. It's a resolution by council of the Village of Smithville, Wayne County, Ohio, authorizing the fiscal officer to transfer, decrease, and/or increase appropriations and amend the certificate of estimated resources as needed and declaring an emergency.
so moved,
So seconded, Hawes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second approving the resolution 2020-26. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Allen,
yes,
Haas,
Yes,
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
yes,
All right. The next item on our agenda, and each of you, I think I'd referenced it to an earlier meeting, but now we have legislation, or we have actually an agreement to approve. As I spoke with you, obviously AgriSludge is our operator of our water treatment plant and our sewer treatment plant. When we signed the last agreement, we knew going into it that there was a chance the first year that AgriSludge indicated initially whenever they took the contract with us, there was a lot of maintenance work and things that need to be done within the sewer plant particularly. We felt the need for the 40 hours from a contract basis with them. But as of the first year, they felt as though that there wasn't as great a need. Also, the operator that currently has been working has indicated desire to retire. He's going to obviously come back to work for them on a part-time basis. And he did offer us an additional operator if we wanted to maintain the 40 hours. BPA felt as though it makes sense, given that obviously Tom at AgriSludge is supportive of the fact that the 40 hours is no longer needed for maintenance purposes to reduce the contract that we currently had. In talking with Jason, he felt the cleanest way in which to accomplish that was a mutual agreement to terminate the current contract to be terminated as of 11:59 p.m. on December 31st, 2020. And then we asked for AgriSludge to present us with a new contract, no change at all relative to the specifics of the contract, other than obviously the number of hours and the amount that we are paying them for that contract. The change will save the village $1,800 a month, which is about $21,800 if I read my own notes. So again, it will save the obviously the sewer plant and specifically the sewer operations that much per year. So again, what I would entertain is again a motion and a second, because I think all we need is a motion, correct, Jason?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. A motion, a second. Again, it's to approve the mutual agreement to terminate the contract, which will obviously authorize me to sign this. And obviously AgriSludge did commit today to the document that we presented them in our agreement as well. So I would entertain a motion in a second.
Tom, do we need to put the agreement to terminate and the agreement to become effective January all in the same motion?
No, we'll do two separate motions, please.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to terminate the agreement for AgriSludge effective 12/31/20.
second, Thorne,
Okay, a motion, a second. Approving the mutual agreement to terminate our current contract with AgriSludge as of December 31st, 2020. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Haas,
yes,
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
yes,
Allen,
yes,
Okay, I would now entertain a motion approving the new agreement between the Village of Smithville and AgriSludge Inc. for water and wastewater facilities management. Again, it's effective January 1st, 2021 at 12 o'clock, I assume, since the other's 11:59.
so moved.
second,
Second.
everybody.
Okay, we have Tricia motion and Larry a second. Are there any discussions or questions concerning the agreement? Hearing none, call.
Heicher.
Yep.
Mullins,
Yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
yes,
Allen,
Yes,
Haas,
yes,
All right. I think that's the only items that I have under new business. Are there anything the council would bring to your attention from new business? If there isn't, then we'll move on into liaison reports. And we'll start with Scott.
Nothing to report for equipment. I meant to say it as you were requesting new business, but I just want to let the council know, youth soccer has wrapped up our season at the park and everything went very well. Happy to report no cases resulted from the youth sports activity. So we had a great facility to use, and thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Larry, fire.
Fire, they're still working on the new tanker. They came up with some extra work they need done on it. They did order a sprayer for the facilities and electrostatic sprayers and 2 portable units, and they got the money from Green Township, their CARES money, and it came to about $35,000.
Okay.
Squad runs are about the same. Nothing much happening. People still don't want to go to the hospital. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Larry. There's nothing other with police other than I will say that Sergeant Barnett will be back next week, which will welcome her from her maternity leave. It'll be great to have her back, obviously, working again. And then moving on, there would be Veterans Memorial. Joe?
Nothing new. We were supposed to have a meeting today, but it was canceled last second, so.
Okay. Then moving on to Parks and Trees. Matt?
Yeah, the tree in the alley off of West Main will be taken down soon. Mike Turner did let the property owner know that Rogue Tree Service will be coming to do that. Communicated with Nate Butcher on the park committee regarding getting a second quote for Field 1 brick dust treatment. He's pursuing that, and also asked him to consider Smithville Youth Baseball, endeavoring in some fundraising events towards the cost of that. And he said that they could definitely commit to at least a couple $1,000s, maybe more, depending on what sort of events that they can hold in the months to follow. So that's it.
And Matt, I know that, I still need to arrange, obviously, a Zoom meeting with Jennifer from CT. And I think you would also want to include one of the other members, which is fine. But once we get done through maybe next week with OPWC, I'll try to arrange that. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks.
And then on streets and sidewalks, John.
Still making plans for next year. That's it.
Okay. All right. Then moving on to finance personnel, Tricia.
I don't have my plan ready yet. I'm waiting on the mayor to give me the green light, so I'm gonna blame it on him. I did get the evaluations turned in from the department heads, and we do have the appropriations or capital plan lists and everything done from Pam. So I'm looking forward to scheduling a meeting to go over those things.
All right, thank you, Tricia. I think that's it. The only things I would share from mayor's perspective is, as I shared with you, our special meeting purpose was to approve me submitting an application to obviously the OPWC local committee. That was on Thursday at 4 o'clock. It was due. That was submitted. As of Monday, they responded already and gave us preliminary scorings. And also they asked us if we were available as of this Friday, that quickly a turnaround in which to present our project. And again, too, in looking at what we had scored ourselves and what they scored, Ironically, they actually scored us on the non-discretionary point portion. They scored us 1 point higher than what we had. So they scored us at 47.5, and we had scored ourselves at 46.5. There are non-discretionary, which we had scored ourselves, but what they traditionally will do is they ask us to respond, give times where available. Myself, I will plan on attending in person. They are also having Zoom ability. So with that, we decided that a representative from CT also would join the meeting through obviously the Zoom capability to allow them, if there's questions specific from an engineering standpoint that obviously that are beyond possibly my ability to answer, we will have someone there to answer those via Zoom. Traditionally at that, I will go through the project, talk about what we've done in the village and what we're attempting to do with this request. Then basically after that meeting, they may make adjustments and also give us discretionary points. At the conclusion of the meetings with all the entities, they will then send out obviously the results preliminarily from that meeting. We will be ranked also comparative to the other obviously projects have been submitted by other entities. At that point, we would then know whether or not we fall within the funding range and what monies are available. And also then what we could do is we can make a decision if we want to modify a request or if we hold at the request that we've made relative to the amount of money of grant versus loan, et cetera. So again, at that point in time, it will be something that we'll decide. Obviously, we'll know what we're considering. We would not know what the other communities are considering. So again, depending where we are and how we feel about the points that we've received through that process, we'll make a determination at that point. And again, what the project will be to do is to basically line the two sanitary sewers, one that runs along Park Drive and the other along the Sugar Creek up off of Northeast Street in the Moss Creek development area. Again, as you recall, we already filmed those and cleaned those this year. So the attempt then is to line those to eliminate inflow and infiltration. So again, I am planning on attending that as far as for that purpose. The other thing that's coming up is the day after the election day will be the meeting that the county is having relative to Ag Security District. And again, that's the meeting relative to the farmers that lie just due, I would say, southwest of the village that lies between us and Worcester. Those farmers have requested their property be placed in the Ag Security District, which would limit as far as certain types of development, which would then obviously maintain it as an agricultural area. That meeting will follow the commissioners meeting on the 4th. And so I will attend that on behalf of the village and speak in support of that. And then the last item of interest is that I did receive notice from Wayne County Emergency Management that there is a training coming up and it's related to FEMA and obviously the role of smaller government entities if there were to be a federal emergency management situation within our area. And they requested us to attend that training via computer online. The purpose being that there are certain certification that the county will receive based upon obviously individuals participating in that. So I am planning on participating in that as well. And I think those are the only things that I can think of unless anyone has any other questions for myself. I say also, I guess, Larry, I think I emailed you the response relative to Ohio Gas and fixing Mill Street as far as the issue there where they replaced their line. But again, they indicated that was last week.
Okay.
Within the next 1 to 2 weeks, they'll be in and repair that permanently. So,
Yep. Thank you.
sure. Are there any other? Yep.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Related to that FEMA training, through my job, I've got some of that FEMA incident command structure training. I don't know if it would apply to any sort of accreditation that we could use. If it would be useful, I can submit some currently held documents that I have. If not necessary, then we can disregard it either.
Or if nothing else, you could tutor me possibly.
Well, I don't know if I'm
Oh.
good enough to tutor, but no, I've
Well,
been through several layers of that ICS. So
well, like I say, obviously I'm intending to, I appreciate that. And again, if I have questions, I may reach out to you. Because obviously I have not gone through any of that. I don't know to what degree that they're going to be covering. But again, obviously I figured that, they had requested it, so I'm willing to do that. But again, I appreciate you sharing that, because if there's things that I have questions, it's nice to know that you already have some of that information as well. So,
sure, I'll help as I can. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Are there any other questions for myself? If there are none, then I would move on to bills. You should have a list of bills that need to be approved this evening.
Motion to approve the bills in the amount of $9,154.17.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, who are we giving it to?
John, he wants one.
John.
Okay, second, John. All right, we have a motion by Larry and a second by John to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes,
Haas,
Yes,
Heicher,
Yes.
All right. Then I guess if there's nothing else to be brought before council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
All right, and a
Second.
second.
Thorne, second.
All right. We have motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. You will notice if you drive by the site of the new water tower, they have begun some work. The company that subcontracted is doing the foundation and some of the basic grading work has been out there and already put up some required fencing and things that are necessary, and they've begun some work there. So it's good to see that. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thanks.
yeah,
Have
you
a good night,
too.
everybody.
Bye.